Luke lived in a small neighborhood that many people called peaceful. It was not very big, but it had many houses with well-kept gardens. The roads were clean and there were trees on every street. Most people in this neighborhood knew each other by name. They would greet each other with smiles and small talks. Luke liked this place very much. It was quiet and safe. He had lived here for 5 years and every day felt calm. Luke was a simple man. He worked at a nearby store during the week, and on weekends he liked to ride his ATV. His ATV was not just a machine to him. It was a special gift from his father who had passed away a few years ago. Luke's father loved adventure and always wanted Luke to enjoy life to the fullest. The ATV was a symbol of those adventures. It reminded Luke of his father's stories and the times they spent together. Every time Luke rode the ATV, he felt close to his father. The neighborhood had a homeowners association. People called it HOA for short. The HOA was in charge of the rules in the neighborhood. They made sure that the lawns were clean, the fences were neat, and the streets were safe. The president of the HOA was a woman named Karen. Karen was known to be strict. She cared a lot about rules and order. Some neighbors liked her because she kept the neighborhood nice. Others found her too controlling. But no one really argued because she was firm and strong in her position. Karen had a daughter named Mia. Mia was very different from her mother. She was young and often did not care about rules. She liked to have fun and sometimes caused trouble. Many people in the neighborhood whispered about Mia, but no one openly spoke to her. They were afraid because of her mother's power in the HOA. Mia acted as if she was above the rules. People often said she thought she was untouchable because of who her mother was. One sunny Saturday morning, Luke went outside to get ready for his weekend ride. The sky was clear, and the air smelled fresh. Luke was excited. He had planned to ride his ATV for a few hours on a trail outside the town. It was his favorite way to relax and enjoy nature. Luke walked to the garage where he kept his ATV. He opened the door and smiled when he saw it parked inside. The ATV was clean and shiny. He had washed it the night before. He put on his helmet and gloves. Everything was perfect. Luke pushed the ATV out of the garage and onto the driveway. Suddenly, Luke stopped. His heart skipped a beat. Something felt wrong. The driveway looked empty. The place where he usually parked the ATV was empty. Luke blinked and looked again. His ATV was gone. Luke's mind raced. He could not believe what he saw. He checked around the house and the street, but the ATV was nowhere to be found. He asked a neighbor if they had seen anything. The neighbor shook her head. No one had noticed anything strange. Luke felt a deep sadness and anger. The ATV was very important to him. It was not just a vehicle. It held memories and feelings. Without it, Luke felt empty. He wanted to find out what happened. Over the next few days, Luke tried to ask more neighbors if they knew anything. Some said they saw a girl riding something that looked like an ATV. They described a young girl with dark hair, laughing as she went fast. Luke's heart sank when he heard this. He thought of Mia, the daughter of the HOA president. Many people had seen her around the neighborhood acting bold and careless. Luke did not want to believe Mia would steal from him. But the signs were hard to ignore. Mia's behavior had become worse lately. She had broken small rules before. She had been caught sneaking out at night and damaging some garden plants. People talked about her but never dared to tell Karen. Everyone thought Mia was protected. Luke decided he had to do something. He wanted to confront Mia, but he also wanted to be sure. He did not want to accuse someone without proof. He needed to be careful. Luke knew the neighborhood could become tense if he made a big issue. But his heart told him that the truth must come out. One afternoon, Luke walked slowly past Mia's house. He saw Mia sitting on the porch talking on her phone and smiling. She looked confident and careless. Luke took a deep breath and called her name. Mia looked up and raised an eyebrow. Luke spoke calmly. He asked if she had seen his ATV. Mia laughed and said she did not know anything. Luke noticed her smile was not honest. He wanted to believe she was innocent, but he felt a strong doubt inside. Luke decided to check the security cameras in the neighborhood. Some neighbors had cameras to protect their houses. Luke asked for permission to see if anyone had caught the ATV being taken. Some neighbors were kind and helped him. After a few days, Luke found a small video clip. It showed a girl who looked very much like Mia. She was riding his ATV through the street. Luke felt a mix of sadness and anger. He had the proof now. Mia had taken his ATV, but what could he do next? He knew that Mia's mother was the HOA president. If he told the HOA, Mia might get away with it. Luke spent many sleepless nights thinking. He wanted justice, but also wanted to keep peace in the neighborhood. He thought about how his father would handle this. Luke decided he would do the right thing. He would tell the truth and let others decide what should happen. The next morning, Luke went to the HOA meeting. The room was full of neighbors. Karen was there, looking serious and proud. Luke took a deep breath and told the story. He showed the video and explained what had happened. There was a silence in the room. People looked shocked. Karen's face changed from proud to angry. She looked at her daughter with a hard expression. Mia's confident smile was gone. The HOA had to act. They decided to investigate more and talk to the police. Luke felt a little relief. He hoped things would get better. The neighborhood might be peaceful again. Luke still missed his ATV. But he knew that standing for what was right was more important. He hoped Mia would learn a lesson. He hoped the neighborhood could heal. The quiet neighborhood was not so quiet anymore. But maybe it was the start of something better. Luke believed that truth and courage could change even the hardest hearts. The days after the HOA meeting were tense in the neighborhood. Everyone seemed to be waiting for something to happen. Luke felt the weight of the situation on his shoulders. He did not like conflict, but he knew that what happened with his ATV was serious. It was not just about a machine. It was about respect and fairness. Luke went back to his house and looked at the empty space in his driveway. It still hurt to see the place where his ATV used to be. He thought about his father again and what he would say. His father always told him to be strong but also kind. Luke wanted to follow those words. Mia, the girl accused of taking Luke's ATV, stayed mostly inside her house. She stopped riding around like before. Her smile was gone, replaced by a quiet anger. People said she was upset because of the trouble she was in. But she also looked proud in a way, as if she believed no one could really punish her. Karen, Mia's mother, became more strict than ever. She held extra meetings for the HOA. She said the neighborhood needed to be safe and orderly, but some neighbors thought she was trying to protect her daughter. They whispered about unfairness and favoritism. Luke heard these talks but stayed quiet. He wanted the truth to come out through facts, not rumors. One afternoon, Luke received a call from a man named Tom. Tom was an older neighbor who had lived in the neighborhood longer than most. He had seen many things over the years. Tom said he wanted to talk to Luke about the ATV and Mia. Luke agreed to meet Tom at the park near the center of the neighborhood. When Luke arrived, Tom was sitting on a bench feeding some birds. He looked calm but serious. Tom began to speak slowly. He told Luke that he had seen Mia acting strangely a few days before the ATV disappeared. She was near the park late at night, moving around quickly. Tom thought it was unusual because Mia did not usually come out after dark. Luke listened carefully. He asked Tom if he had seen Mia take the ATV. Tom shook his head. He said he did not see the actual theft but thought Mia was planning something. Luke thanked Tom and promised to stay careful. After their talk, Luke felt more determined. He knew he had to find stronger proof to stop Mia from causing more trouble. He decided to visit more neighbors and ask if they had seen anything strange. Most neighbors were afraid to speak. They worried about Karen and her influence in the HOA, but a few brave ones shared small details. Some had heard loud noises at night. Others saw a vehicle that looked like an ATV going fast through the streets. These small clues gave Luke hope. One neighbor named Sarah offered Luke her security camera footage. Her camera faced the street near Mia's house. Luke looked at the video carefully. The footage showed a girl matching Mia's description riding an ATV late at night. The girl looked careful but excited, like she was testing something new. Luke knew this was important evidence. He saved the video and decided to bring it to the police. He wanted the law to handle the situation fairly. Meanwhile, Mia's behavior grew more unpredictable. She began to argue with neighbors openly. She shouted at people who questioned her. Some neighbors were scared of her now. They avoided her and crossed the street when they saw her coming. Luke wished things could be different. He did not want more fighting. He wanted Mia to understand why what she did was wrong. But Mia's attitude made it difficult. One afternoon, Luke saw Mia at the community pool. She was alone and looked upset. Luke decided to try talking to her again. He walked over slowly and said hello. Mia looked at him and said sharply, "What do you want?" Luke smiled gently. "I just want to understand why you took my ATV." Mia laughed bitterly. "You think I took it? I did what I wanted. I'm untouchable." Luke felt a pain in his chest. He saw how Mia's words were filled with anger and loneliness. "Being untouchable is not real," he said softly. "We all have to face what we do. You could have talked to me. I would have listened." Mia's eyes softened for a moment. Then she looked away. "It's not that easy," she said quietly. Luke nodded. "I know, but it can get better if we try." Mia did not answer. She stood up and walked away. Luke watched her go, hoping she would think about his words. The police soon contacted Luke. They had reviewed the videos and started an investigation. They asked Luke to provide all the evidence he had collected. Luke felt relieved. He trusted that the police would do their job. The neighborhood waited anxiously as the investigation continued. People talked less about the problem now. They hoped for a fair solution. One day, Luke was walking back from the store when he saw Karen talking to the police outside her house. Karen looked serious and tired. Luke wondered what they were saying. Later, Karen sent a message to the HOA. She apologized for the trouble and promised to support the investigation. She said the neighborhood must stay united and peaceful. Luke respected Karen for this. He realized that even strong people could change when faced with the truth. The investigation found that Mia had taken the ATV without permission. She had tried to sell it to a person outside the neighborhood but was caught before completing the sale. The police returned the ATV to Luke. Mia faced charges for theft. The court decided to place her under house arrest. She had to attend counseling and community service. The judge said this was a chance for Mia to learn and change. Luke felt a mixture of emotions. He was glad to have his ATV back, but he also felt sad for Mia. He knew her troubles were deeper than just stealing. The neighborhood slowly returned to normal. People began to speak to each other again. Some reached out to Mia's family with kindness. Luke visited Mia one afternoon. He told her he hoped she would find peace and make better choices. Mia looked at him with tears in her eyes and said, "Thank you." Luke smiled. He felt hope. He believed that even in trouble there could be a new start. The quiet neighborhood was healing, and Luke knew that standing up for what was right had made a difference. The morning sun filtered through the leaves, casting soft shadows on the quiet streets of the neighborhood. Luke stood by his front porch holding a cup of coffee. The air was cool but fresh. He felt a mixture of relief and tension. The ATV was back, but the problem was far from over. Mia was still living nearby and the pain between them had not healed. Luke knew that sooner or later he would have to face Mia again. He wanted to settle things calmly without anger or fear, but the memory of what had happened made his heart beat faster. He wondered if Mia would even listen to him. That day, Luke decided to visit Mia's house. He wanted to talk to her honestly, face to face. He believed that clear words could help fix the broken trust. Maybe it could help Mia find a better path. Luke walked slowly toward Mia's house. As he reached the porch, he saw Mia sitting there. She looked different today, quieter, less confident. Her eyes showed sadness mixed with frustration. It was the first time Luke had seen her like this. He took a deep breath and said, "Hi, Mia, can we talk for a moment?" Mia looked at him and hesitated. Then she nodded. "Okay." Luke sat down on a chair nearby, trying to find the right words. "I know things have been difficult. I want to understand why you did what you did." Mia's face changed. She looked down and said softly, "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just wanted to feel something different, something exciting." Luke listened carefully. Sometimes when we feel lost or alone, we make mistakes. But there are better ways to find happiness. Mia looked up, her eyes searching Luke's face. "You don't know how hard it is. My mom, she expects everything to be perfect. If I make a mistake, she gets angry. I feel like I'm never good enough." Luke felt a pang of sympathy. He had seen how strong Karen could be. Now he understood more about Mia's pain. "Maybe your mom cares a lot because she loves you," Luke said gently, "but she might not know how to show it the right way." Mia nodded slowly. "Maybe," Luke smiled. "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be honest and try to do better." For a moment there was silence between them. Then Mia said, "I'm sorry, Luke, for taking your ATV and for causing trouble. I didn't think about how much it would hurt you." Luke felt warmth in his heart. "Thank you, Mia, that means a lot." I want us to be neighbors who can trust each other. Mia looked hopeful. Me too. Their conversation was interrupted by a voice calling from inside the house. Karen stood at the doorway, watching them carefully. Her face was serious but not angry. She walked outside and said, "Mia, it's time to come in." Mia stood up and gave Luke a small smile. "See you around." Luke nodded. "Take care, Mia." As Mia walked inside, Karen stayed for a moment. She looked at Luke and said quietly, "Thank you for talking to her. She needs people like you." Luke nodded. "I want to help if I can." Karen looked thoughtful. "I have been hard on her, I admit, but I want what is best for this neighborhood and my family." Luke smiled gently. "Sometimes we all need to learn and change." Karen paused and then said, "If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask." Luke felt hope. Maybe this was the start of better days for everyone. The next few weeks were different in the neighborhood. Mia began to behave more respectfully. She kept her promises during her house arrest and attended the counseling sessions. Neighbors noticed the change and started to treat her with kindness. Luke often saw Mia at the park, sitting quietly or helping younger kids play. She seemed more at peace. One day, Luke invited Mia to join a small group of neighbors for a community project. They wanted to plant new trees along the streets to make the neighborhood greener. Mia was shy but agreed. She worked hard, planting saplings and watering them. Luke saw a smile on her face, genuine and warm. Karen watched from a distance, her eyes softening. She realized that her daughter was growing up and learning important lessons. Karen herself began to be more understanding and open with the neighbors. The community project brought people together. Old fears and tensions started to fade. Luke felt proud to be part of such a caring neighborhood. One afternoon, as Luke and Mia were finishing their work, Mia turned to him and said, "Thank you, Luke, for believing in me." Luke smiled. "Everyone deserves a second chance," Mia nodded. "I want to make things right. For myself and for this neighborhood." Luke felt a deep respect for her courage. Change was not easy, but Mia was trying. The quiet neighborhood was healing, slowly but surely. And Luke knew that forgiveness and understanding were the strongest bridges between people. He looked at the sky and whispered, "This is just the beginning." The morning sun filtered through the leaves, casting soft shadows on the quiet streets of the neighborhood. Luke stood by his front porch holding a cup of coffee. The air was cool but fresh. He felt a mixture of relief and tension. The ATV was back, but the problem was far from over. Mia was still living nearby and the pain between them had not healed. Luke knew that sooner or later he would have to face Mia again. He wanted to settle things calmly without anger or fear, but the memory of what had happened made his heart beat faster. He wondered if Mia would even listen to him. That day, Luke decided to visit Mia's house. He wanted to talk to her honestly, face to face. He believed that clear words could help fix the broken trust. Maybe it could help Mia find a better path. Luke walked slowly toward Mia's house. As he reached the porch, he saw Mia sitting there. She looked different today, quieter, less confident. Her eyes showed sadness mixed with frustration. It was the first time Luke had seen her like this. He took a deep breath and said, "Hi, Mia, can we talk for a moment?" Mia looked at him and hesitated. Then she nodded. "Okay." Luke sat down on a chair nearby, trying to find the right words. "I know things have been difficult. I want to understand why you did what you did." Mia's face changed. She looked down and said softly, "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just wanted to feel something different, something exciting." Luke listened carefully. Sometimes when we feel lost or alone, we make mistakes. But there are better ways to find happiness. Mia looked up, her eyes searching Luke's face. "You don't know how hard it is. My mom, she expects everything to be perfect. If I make a mistake, she gets angry. I feel like I'm never good enough." Luke felt a pang of sympathy. He had seen how strong Karen could be. Now he understood more about Mia's pain. "Maybe your mom cares a lot because she loves you," Luke said gently, "but she might not know how to show it the right way." Mia nodded slowly. "Maybe." Luke smiled. "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be honest and try to do better." For a moment there was silence between them. Then Mia said, "I'm sorry, Luke, for taking your ATV and for causing trouble. I didn't think about how much it would hurt you." Luke felt warmth in his heart. "Thank you, Mia, that means a lot. I want us to be neighbors who can trust each other." Mia looked hopeful. "Me too." Their conversation was interrupted by a voice calling from inside the house. Karen stood at the doorway, watching them carefully. Her face was serious but not angry. She walked outside and said, "Mia, it's time to come in." Mia stood up and gave Luke a small smile. "See you around," Luke nodded. "Take care, Mia." As Mia walked inside, Karen stayed for a moment. She looked at Luke and said quietly, "Thank you for talking to her. She needs people like you." Luke nodded. "I want to help if I can." Karen looked thoughtful. "I have been hard on her, I admit. But I want what is best for this neighborhood and my family." Luke smiled gently. "Sometimes we all need to learn and change." Karen paused and then said, "If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask." Luke felt hope. Maybe this was the start of better days for everyone. The next few weeks were different in the neighborhood. Mia began to behave more respectfully. She kept her promises during her house arrest and attended the counseling sessions. Neighbors noticed the change and started to treat her with kindness. Luke often saw Mia at the park, sitting quietly or helping younger kids play. She seemed more at peace. One day, Luke invited Mia to join a small group of neighbors for a community project. They wanted to plant new trees along the streets to make the neighborhood greener. Mia was shy but agreed. She worked hard, planting saplings and watering them. Luke saw a smile on her face, genuine and warm. Karen watched from a distance, her eyes softening. She realized that her daughter was growing up and learning important lessons. Karen herself began to be more understanding and open with the neighbors. The community project brought people together. Old fears and tensions started to fade. Luke felt proud to be part of such a caring neighborhood. One afternoon, as Luke and Mia were finishing their work, Mia turned to him and said, "Thank you, Luke, for believing in me." Luke smiled. "Everyone deserves a second chance," Mia nodded. "I want to make things right, for myself and for this neighborhood." Luke felt a deep respect for her courage. Change was not easy, but Mia was trying. The quiet neighborhood was healing, slowly but surely. And Luke knew that forgiveness and understanding were the strongest bridges between people. The neighborhood had changed since the ATV was taken and returned. It was not just the return of a vehicle, but the return of trust, hope, and understanding. Luke felt the difference in the air. The street seemed friendlier, the neighbors more open. Luke had been busy helping with the community garden and fixing fences. The work gave him a sense of purpose. He liked seeing the smiles on neighbors' faces when they came together to improve their neighborhood. Mia had also been part of these efforts. She was still quiet but more respectful and kind. Luke noticed how she greeted people politely and helped children in the park. It was a new Mia, one who wanted to be better. One Saturday morning, the HOA held a small gathering at the community center. It was a way for neighbors to reconnect and celebrate the peace they had regained. Karen, Mia's mother, gave a speech. She spoke about the importance of community, forgiveness, and working together. Luke watched from the crowd, feeling proud. He knew it had not been easy for anyone, especially Mia and Karen. But seeing the neighborhood come together gave him hope. After the speech, Luke walked over to Mia. She looked nervous, but happy. "Thank you for helping make this day possible," she said quietly. Luke smiled. "You did great, Mia. It's good to see you like this." Mia nodded. "I want to keep moving forward." Luke felt a warm feeling inside. He believed that Mia could build a new path for herself. The gathering was filled with laughter and friendly conversations. People shared food and stories. Children played games and older neighbors exchanged memories. It was a reminder of what made the neighborhood special: the people. Luke talked to Karen later that day. "Your speech was very powerful," he said. Karen smiled. "Thank you, Luke. I hope this is the start of something better for all of us." Luke agreed. "It is." Days passed and life returned to a peaceful rhythm. Luke's ATV was safe and the neighborhood was stronger. People looked out for one another and worked together to keep the community safe and happy. Mia continued her counseling and community service. She showed real change, earning the respect of many neighbors. Luke saw that she was learning from her mistakes and growing into a better person. One afternoon, Luke received a letter from the police. It was an official notice that Mia's case was being closed. She had met all the requirements and showed good behavior. Luke felt relief and joy. Justice had been fair, and Mia had a chance to start fresh. He called Mia to share the news. When she answered, her voice was soft but happy. Thank you, Luke. I couldn't have done this without your support. Luke smiled. You earned it, Mia. Keep going. Their friendship, once strained, was now based on respect and hope. As summer turned into fall, the neighborhood continued to grow closer. New families moved in, and the old neighbors welcomed them warmly. Luke and Mia often met at the park, sharing stories and plans for the future. They both dreamed of making the neighborhood a place where everyone felt safe and valued. One evening, as the sun set behind the trees, Luke looked at the streetlights glowing softly. He thought about the journey they had been through, the anger, the mistakes, the forgiveness, and the healing. He knew that life was not perfect, but it was full of chances to do better. Luke whispered to himself, "This is our home. Together we will make it strong." And with that hope in his heart, Luke smiled and looked forward to the many new beginnings ahead. He looked at the sky and whispered, "This is just the beginning." The peaceful days in the neighborhood gave Luke a chance to breathe. He spent mornings working in his garden, and evenings walking around greeting neighbors with a smile. The ATV was back and Mia was no longer a threat. At least that was what Luke hoped. Despite the calm, Luke could not shake a small feeling of doubt. Sometimes when he walked past Mia's house, he noticed a shadow in the window, or the sound of voices raised in anger. He wondered if things were really better inside that home. One evening, Luke's friend Sarah stopped by with a worried look. "Luke, have you heard anything strange lately?" she asked. Luke shook his head. "Not really, why?" Sarah looked around nervously before whispering. "Some neighbors say they hear loud noises at night. Sounds like arguments or furniture moving." Luke frowned. "Do you think Mia or her family is having trouble again?" Sarah shrugged. "I don't know, but some people are scared." Luke felt a heavy weight on his chest. He wanted to believe that Mia had changed for good. But if her family was still struggling, it could mean more problems. That night, Luke found it hard to sleep. His mind raced with questions. He thought about talking to Mia again, but he did not want to upset her or cause more trouble. The next day, Luke decided to visit the park. Maybe spending time outside would clear his mind. As he walked, he saw Mia sitting on a bench looking lost in thought. Luke hesitated, but then sat beside her. "Hi, Mia, are you okay?" Mia looked at him and smiled faintly. "I'm trying," Luke nodded. "I heard some neighbors worried about noises at night." "Is everything all right?" Mia's smile faded. "It's not easy. My mom and I still fight sometimes, but I'm trying to keep peace." Luke listened carefully. "If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." Mia's eyes softened. "Thank you, Luke, that means a lot." They sat quietly for a while, watching the children play. Luke felt hopeful that Mia was still trying, even with challenges. But that hope was tested soon. A few days later, Luke returned home to find a group of neighbors gathered near Mia's house. Their faces were worried and angry. Karen was standing in front looking upset. Luke approached slowly. "What happened?" One neighbor explained. "We heard loud noises again last night. Some say there was shouting and breaking sounds." Karen sighed deeply. "I'm sorry, everyone. Mia and I are still working through things." Luke looked at Mia's house. The windows were dark, but he could feel the tension. He decided to talk to Karen privately. "Is there anything I can do to help?" Karen looked tired. "Thank you, Luke. I don't know what to do sometimes. I want peace for my family and the neighborhood." Luke nodded. "Maybe we can find someone to help you both. A counselor or mediator." Karen smiled weakly. "That might be a good idea." Luke felt determined. He knew that healing was not a straight path. It took time, patience, and support. He talked to a local counselor and arranged for Karen and Mia to meet with her. He hoped this would bring the family closer and stop the fights. Meanwhile, Luke kept watching the neighborhood carefully. He wanted to protect the peace and help anyone in need. One evening, as Luke walked home, he saw Mia standing outside looking at the stars. She looked calm but tired. Luke stopped and said, "Mia, how are you feeling?" Mia smiled softly. "Better. The counselor helps me understand my feelings." Luke nodded. "That's good. Remember, you're not alone." Mia looked grateful. "Thank you, Luke, for everything." Luke smiled back. He believed that even when shadows appeared, the light of hope could guide them through. The neighborhood was still healing, and Luke knew the journey was not over. But with kindness, understanding, and support, he believed they could build a better future together. The days grew cooler as autumn settled over the neighborhood. The trees turned shades of gold and red, and the air smelled fresh with the promise of change. Luke felt a quiet strength growing inside him. He had seen the struggles, the anger, and the healing. Now he was ready for a new step forward. Mia had been attending counseling sessions regularly. Slowly, she began to open up about her fears, her hopes, and her mistakes. The counselor helped her see that change was possible if she believed in herself and worked hard. One afternoon, Luke received a call from the counselor. "Luke, Mia has made real progress," she said. "She is ready to face some challenges with a new attitude." Luke smiled. "Thank you for your help. I will support her all the way." Luke decided to invite Mia to join a special project in the neighborhood. It was a cleanup and repair day. The community wanted to fix the park benches, paint the fences, and plant new flowers. It was a way to bring people together and make their home beautiful. Mia agreed to help. She arrived early, carrying paintbrushes and gloves. Luke was there, organizing the work and greeting neighbors. At first, some people watched Mia quietly, unsure if they could trust her. But as the day went on, Mia worked hard, smiling and talking kindly. She helped an older neighbor carry wood. She painted a fence with care. Luke noticed how her face lit up when children thanked her for helping with their games. It was clear she wanted to be part of the community in a new way. Karen came by too. She looked proud but also tired. She stayed for a while, helping organize food for the volunteers. At one point, a neighbor named Mr. Lee approached Mia. He was known for being serious but fair. "Good work today, Mia," Mr. Lee said. "I see you are trying," Mia nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Lee. I want to be better." Mr. Lee smiled slightly. "We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do after." The words made Mia's eyes shine with hope. As the sun set, the neighborhood looked brighter. New flowers in the park, fresh paint on fences, and laughter filled the air. Luke felt proud of what they had done together. That evening, Luke and Mia sat on a bench in the park. The sky was clear and stars began to twinkle. "Thank you for inviting me," Mia said softly. "I feel like I belong here." Luke smiled. "You do, Mia. Everyone deserves a place where they feel safe and loved." Mia looked at Luke and said, "I want to keep growing, to make my mom proud and be a good neighbor." Luke nodded. "I believe you will." But the road ahead was still not easy. The next day, Karen called Luke. Her voice sounded worried. "Luke, Mia had a hard time last night. She feels alone and afraid." Luke knew that sometimes the past could pull people back. "I will come by to see her." When Luke arrived, he found Mia sitting quietly in her room. She looked tired but brave. "I'm scared I might fail again," she said. Luke sat beside her. "Everyone has fears. But you are not alone. We all want to help you." Mia smiled faintly. "Thank you, Luke. I will try harder." Luke stayed with her for a while, talking about dreams and plans. He reminded her that mistakes are lessons, not the end. Days passed and Mia grew stronger. The neighbors began to trust her more. The old pain started to heal. One afternoon, Karen joined Luke and Mia at the park. She looked more relaxed. "I want to thank you, Luke," she said. "You have helped my family more than you know." Luke smiled. "We are neighbors. Helping each other is what makes us strong." Karen nodded. "I'm learning to be a better mother and neighbor." Luke felt a warm glow inside. The neighborhood was no longer just a place to live. It was a community. The story of the stolen ATV had changed many lives. It had taught lessons about trust, forgiveness, and hope. Luke believed that even the darkest moments could lead to light if people came together. As the leaves fell gently to the ground, Luke looked at the horizon. He knew the journey was not finished, but the future looked bright. He whispered, "Together we will build a better tomorrow."